favorite two girls, JQ.
And it's Dali here. We are back again. And this episode is going to get good.
Yes.
It's going to get really good.
Locked up, don't let me. That's what it reminds me. Locked up, don't let me out. Like the Icon days. If you don't know what we're talking about by now.
We're talking about prison, incarceration, jail.
That is what our episode will be about today. It was interesting because this episode definitely required a lot of research, and there's just so much more research we could have gone into. It's just a lot. It goes deep. It goes real deep.
And I feel like once it's like, oh, well, they got sent to prison. Like, if they got sentenced to prison, it's probably because they deserved it.
Right.
And then it's kind of like, you don't think about it anymore. Like, oh, well, they're a criminal.
Right.
Whatever.
Oh, you're in prison. Oh, you're a felon? Oh, my goodness.
Right. It's like, kind of like, remember back in the day when people used to look at women that were, like, claiming to be witches? Like, the whole Salem thing. Like, oh, no.
Right.
Not a witch. Now it's like, not a prison, not a criminal.
Oh my goodness.
But like, we don't really think about the bigger picture sometimes. And like, I will say this. I do think that prisons are necessary to an extent. Of course, if somebody commits a crime, if somebody kills my mother or somebody kills my brother or something like that, yes, bitch, send that bitch to jail. Like, he needs to do the time because he killed,
Right.
He did something horrible.
He deserves that time to think about the shit that he did.
Right. But I do think that the prison system has taken this idea of imprisoning somebody to, like, make up their time or, like, to...
And they kind of, like, put that out in society that, like, if someone's in prison or, we're keeping our community safer and we're making...
Right, then it makes it easier for you not to really think too much about it. Like, oh, well, if it wasn't for this person being in prison, the streets would be wild.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, but to an extent, I feel like. If somebody's out murdering people and robbing shit, like, yeah, I mean, they need to learn a lesson.
But we both know that there have been way too many people who have been either wrongfully imprisoned, or they're serving these crazy ass sentences for little minor things,
petty ass crimes.
So that shit needs to be fixed altogether.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I feel like they've taken this idea of prison, putting criminals away, and they've corrupted it, and the people owning the prisons, because
the people owning the
they're
prisons,
making crazy money.
Not millions, not billions, trillions.
So of course, yeah, send them to jail. Yeah, bring them over. Making money.
The more people that are in prison, the more they profit off of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
woo. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like this is a good episode to have, because not only I feel like it's easy to get put, especially us as minorities. I mean, maybe not as easily for us because we're women. I feel like minority men, it's so easy for them to get caught up in some shit,
right,
and find themselves in a situation where they're in prison and they really shouldn't be. Or maybe they're serving these crazy times.
How many people do you think are locked up for not being snitches?
Right.
That one.
Right.
I'm like, oh, there's a few hundred in there, a few thousand probably.
I think about it and it like really hurts my heart, because how many people are locked up for crimes they didn't commit? And
that's horrible.
They're just, no one believes them. They're just or found
someone
guilty.
Does believe them. Did you see that How to Make a Murderer? Did you ever watch that?
No, I never watched that.
Well, that's kind of the case with that man in there. Like, they accused him, had no proof really as to how he supposedly killed this woman, and then was in prison for 17 years. And then they released him because he was wrongfully imprisoned.
Oh my God.
It was just
and then they want to pay
craziness.
them these huge settlements. But like, how much, there's no amount of money that's going to give me my time back.
Right.
I don't just get
and then
years
I'm
back
sure
on my
the
life.
government is like, look, they're going to take this cut of money. They're going to take this couple million.
Because
they're going to be fine.
Right.
Not even just because they can have to. That money runs everything. So guess what? We'll cut you this check and you'll be fine. That's what we're going to think. That's what we're going to cut you this check and we don't give a fuck about what you do afterwards.
Which is so fucking annoying, bro.
It's
so crazy.
just because I don't know. And then like I had well, we'll talk about those experiences in a second.
But I do want to start off the episode with saying, yes, I do think that prisons are important to an extent. I think that if you do a major crime, if you do a crime that you know you're not supposed to be doing, that those are the consequences. You can't tell people, no, well, you're not supposed to be doing that, and just giving them slap on the wrist, because then they're just gonna keep doing it even more. So like there needs to be a consequence to your actions when you know you're doing wrong.
Right.
So like I believe it to that extent, but there's some fucked up shit going on.
Just in
There,
general.
it gets when you look deeper into the situation, there's some like crazy shit happening, and it's like, I get it. We all fuck up. We all make mistakes, but where does it like? Well, who is gonna be the one to be like, this is the real people that are fucked up making mistakes is the prison system.
Right. Well, not even just the prison system, because the prison system is owned by the people, by core civics, aka the CCA, which is the Corrections Corporation of America. And they own a lot of the stuff, so I'm sure they base their pay and their hiring separately from everything else, the court systems and stuff, you know, but which is another thing we're going to touch up on, because how they pay the prisoners, how they have them do work. It's just ridiculous for the pay and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But
you know, and then it's sad too, because you know there's people that do things so that they can go to prison because it supplies them. It
gives
you're
them stuff they
sheltered.
didn't have.
You're sheltered. You're fed. You're safe from the streets. You know, it's sad that people are like, well, I'd rather be in prison than be out in the streets.
Which is kind of crazy, because prison, you got a lot of shit you're going to deal with in that bitch too. You know, like it's not like it's sweet out there. I don't know if I'd say that. I think I'd rather lay out in the street than be in prison. We gonna figure it out, but I will not be in prison.
Dude, I would never last in a prison. I would be somebody's like prison
bitch.
Prison bitch.
So what's the bitch? This is my girlfriend, the biggest bitch in here. Okay?
I'd cry every night. Every night I would cry.
I feel like I'd play that role to
God.
the T if I like. Who is the biggest dyke bitch? Please make me yours.
Please, I'll do anything you want as long as you just keep me safe.
I'm done.
I watch like Orange is the New Black.
That's exactly what I think about.
And I'm like, oh my God. I get stressed out even watching that. I'm like, I would not survive.
Oh my God.
I would be horrible. These people making like...
If you're at a federal prison, I wouldn't. No.
Dude.
Because then you're fucking with smart people.
I was watching... right. I was watching The World's Toughest Prisons on Netflix. Mm-hmm. I have like this weird... When I was watching that, I had like a weird obsession with it. Like I had to watch more. I needed to know about the world's toughest prisons.
Prison is crazy.
But the whole time I was like...
They do have some crazy conditions in other prisons.
Dude, like prisons like in like Costa Rica and shit like that. Like these bitches don't even have uniforms. They're in the clothes that they got arrested in.
They have rooms that have like 100 bunks, and they'll have like 300 people in there.
Literally.
To try to figure out where 100 of those,
and like
of those
the head honcho leader of like the prison is like telling the newbie like, oh, well, you got to sleep on that cement floor corner right there because I said so. And then it's like,
God.
Well, what are you supposed to? Okay. Like I would definitely be like, the cement looks great, sir. Thank you so much. I'm
This
super
corner looks
appreciative.
really comfy.
Do you have a blanket? If not, it's okay.
Pillow? No, okay.
It's fine. I'll be fine.
Some water? Nothing? Okay. I'll just die over here.
Please. Anyone feel free to kill me at any time. Because that's insane.
Well, you talking about that, I'm going to talk about how I looked up the top prisons in the world, and I looked up the top 10, and I'm not going to name all the top 10, but the number one most dangerous and violent prison, deadly prison, was Carandiru Penitentiary. Carandiru Penitentiary in Brazil. So I believe that shit. Brazil. Yeah, no. Oh my God. Okay, but we ended up which a good all of that out. But I came up with the other ones, the other ones were other countries. But what surprised me was that Rikers Island in New York was number 8. And I was like, damn, that's in the U.S. And that's fucking crazy.
I was telling her that there's a good documentary on Netflix about Rikers Island. Why did I say it like that? Rikers Island.
Ireland.
Rikers Ireland. But it's fucking crazy, the things that... And it's right in New York. Like, the things that...
But I've heard crazy things about that prison.
Yeah.
I have.
Girl, watch that documentary. Insane. It's crazy.
So, and then those kids in that, as they see us, they went to, one of them went to Rikers. Yeah. And he was like 16. And it's like, oh my God, can you imagine?
For a crime that you didn't even commit.
You're getting all types of messed up in there.
Dito. But it fucking sucks.
So like the conditions for everything are just overwhelming for just the prisons in general. Just because it's the number one reason, overcrowding. There's too many people in the prisons. There's too much stuff going on. The violence, the sexual abuse is another one, which for men I know is for anyone is horrible. But to think that you would have to even consider dealing with that in prison is like, what the fuck,
On top of everything else.
Right. And mistreatment based on race, sex, and gender identity. So I thought that was important too, because a lot of people identify themselves as something else, and
get sent to jail, and then they're God.
So yeah, those were like some of the main conditions as to why some of the conditions based in there. You know what I'm saying? I tried to look up more about, because I know that those people eat the nastiest shit. They don't not eat the best stuff. The cooks, who's the cooks? The prisoners are the cooks. So unless you got...
I'm a murderer / chef. When
Mommy's here, I got you guys.
When I wasn't killing people, I was cooking it up at Burn Steakhouse. So here's
experience.
Bon appetit, everyone. Life in prison. But like, I want to like touch base on like, why do we put people in jail? So when you think about places like that, like Rikers Island and I don't even know what the fuck you said in Brazil. What was that name?
Canterio.
Guantanamera. The place in Brazil. So when you think about why we put people in prison, they're committing crazy, crazy crimes, you would believe, right? So like murdering, burglary, what else really like?
And it just depends on your state as well, because states, their laws fluctuate, based on what they decide to make laws. So
right.
What might not be a law in one state might be, a law in another. So common sense. But
well, when I looked up what is the major reason why people get put in prison, the main reason, majority of it is drug related. So if you really want to talk about like the war on drugs and how beneficial it's been to bring in these drugs and make them all illegal.
It goes into a big circle.
It goes into, we can have a whole
conversation about this.
A whole episode on the war on drugs.
This also relates to a few of our BLM episodes as well. So if you go back and listen to those, you'll kind of understand a little more of what we're talking about, because things were just set up this way for minorities on purpose. So the way that they set up things was made for those reasons.
Right.
And
then you hear stories, and it breaks my heart, because you hear stories about how right now Jackie and I we started like this little like mini book club between our other friend, and we're reading Malcolm X, the autobiography of Malcolm X, and he talks about how he got into like some trouble and this and that, and he was scared. He had to flee because even though he didn't have any drugs on him, he knew that they were gonna that the cops would plant something on him to give them a reason to arrest him
or kill him.
And it happens often. Like you hear these stories about people that are serving these long ass sentences, weed charges. Weed is legal. Weed has become legal, and in the states that weed has become legal, there are still prisoners serving long sentences for their weed charge. So it's like, are they really criminals?
Right.
Are they criminals?
In the eyes
because you were selling pounds of weed, does that make you a horrible person that you need to spend 40 years in prison? No,
because they want control of how the drug system is done or is controlled. They want control of all of it. That's what I'm trying to say. And then when it comes to weed, yeah, it's becoming legal. But if they're not getting money and profiting off of it, they're going to find a way, regardless if that means locking your ass up too.
Right.
Because, like, it's not legal in places, but the places it is legal, they tax. And, but it's such a big ass contradiction because in other states where they have become legal, recreationally legal, they have been able to help tons of schools with tons of stuff. They've had millions of dollars from just people buying weed. So, like, okay, in ways like that, like, you're using it for better, but, like,
bro, when
it comes to things like that, are they really releasing people? They should be releasing people.
They should. If I was 17, young and dumb, or 18, just fresh 18, like my first like 2 months of being 18, and I got caught up in some stupid shit, and I got an adult charge for like 20 something years for my weed charge, and then I'm in prison, and while I'm in prison I start hearing about how weed is all of a sudden legal and people are using it recreationally, and then there's a fucking pandemic and the weed dispensaries don't shut down because they're considered essential. I would be like, bitch, get me the fuck out of here.
Right.
What?
100%.
I don't deserve to be here.
But see, and that's the thing, though, because I'm sure tons of people have thought that way. They don't have the means or the money to do so, to get out of those situations, because you need a lawyer. You need someone to represent you. If you don't have a voice outside and someone fighting for you, then it's not going to happen.
And that's the sad thing, because in the prison system, money talks. I mean, we've seen many times where people that have been accused have been... It's been obvious that they've been committing these crazy crimes.
And they get acquitted and they get away with it.
Right, because they have money. They can pay off. And then these people that are innocent, but they can't prove that they're innocent because they don't have the money for a good lawyer, are being put into jail and put into the prison system for years. And it's like, how do we find a way to make it better?
Can we make it better?
Can we? I mean, it's the same with like social workers, for example. There's so many cases of kids being mistreated, and so many social workers. There's not enough social workers, and they're not getting paid enough, and they're not getting. There's so many cases and so little people taking over the cases that so many things can be overlooked. So many things fall between the cracks.
And the thing is, though, I don't think it's just social work. It's a lot of stuff within the government.
Oh, yeah.
So stuff isn't getting relayed. Stuff is being... And if it is being relayed, it's relayed super fucking late. So, like, for a lot of stuff, I just think that they take their time. And they go... Now, I don't want to say by importance, but...
I mean, money talks.
Right,
if I throw down...
Like, if I don't have a lawyer and they're trying to figure out my case, and they have tons of cases... What is to say that they won't back my, and I don't have a bond, or if I do have a bond and I don't get released or anything like that, what is to say that they won't keep me in there for 2 years till my trial comes along? You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, then
that's bogus as hell.
I was reading somewhere, I don't know where I heard this actually or read it, but pretty much these lawyers, these like public defenders and stuff will say, look, like, if I'm saying I didn't commit this crime, I know I didn't commit this crime, like, no. They're going to say, look, you can take a plea deal. And if you just take a plea deal and say that you're guilty, and you'll get way more less time than having to go through everything and blah, 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 blah. And a lot of people get tricked into that. But then there's those select few that are like, no, I didn't do it.
I knew somebody that was in a situation like that. And they tried to get him, like, to settle. And it was the PO. He was like, no, I want a real lawyer. I am a real lawyer. No, you're not.
Yeah.
You're a public defender. You're not a lawyer. I need a lawyer. I'm not settling for shit.
Right.
So, like, you have to know your rights, though. That's the thing, because you'll sit there and settle for whatever they're going to give you. Like, oh, I fucked up. Okay, I'll take it. Okay, I don't have the money for a lawyer. Might as well. I didn't do it. Oh, man, but I'm in a situation. I'm going to be charged guilty anyway, so might as well take the plea. You know what I'm saying? So, like... When you're stuck in a situation like that, what do you choose, Like,
right, but then there's the situations where, like, if you say, no, I didn't do it, I want a court date. I want to, like, prove, I want to say that I didn't do it. Then they're going to put you they put you in jail until they can get you a court date. And that could take years. There's people that wait 3 years for a court date for a crime that they didn't even commit.
Yeah.
And it's like... because they can't afford. Girl, I get so scared to get myself in a situation where I'm like that, because my ass can't afford no like top notch lawyer.
But you see, okay, no, and you're right though, because and that's most people, girl. That's most people, especially minorities. Unless you got that money, you ain't.
And then these crimes are being, you're seeing very, very, very young kids, like, and they're young minded, like 17-year-olds getting put on being put in adult prison for a crime, and they don't know their rights. They don't know. We're not being taught, unless you have very educated parents or very well educated people surrounding you. You're not being taught about how to deal with the police, or how to deal when you get stopped, and how to deal with certain things. So when a plea deal sounds great to you, you're like, yeah, I'll take the plea deal, not knowing the
You're pretty much signing your life away.
Yeah, I mean, a plea deal, if I was 17 and I committed, something happened to me and they were like, take the plea deal, and it sounded great to me, I wouldn't be thinking about in the long run, when I'm trying to look for a job, when I'm trying to do this, when I'm trying to vote, when I'm trying to do all my other shit, how much it's going to negatively impact my life for the rest of my life.
You're thinking about, what am I going to do now, because I don't even want to be in fucking jail right now.
Right, I'm thinking about how fucking scared I am. And I, like, really thank the Lord that I haven't been put into that bad of a situation. Because I'm not gonna lie, I got into a little bit of trouble.
We both. That was another, for our grown folk business, we were going to talk about our experiences.
Yeah.
Have you ever been... I almost was arrested one time. Almost.
Bitch, I was...
My mom doesn't know about this. Mom, don't listen.
Cover your ears. I'm sorry.
No, one time I was almost arrested, and I damn near shit my pants, because I was like, my mom's gonna kill me. That was the first thing.
That's like the first thing you think of, like, oh shit, God, I'm dead.
My mom, she's gonna look at me so crazy. But so we're not gonna go into depth with the story like that. But I'll just say that it also depends on what type of cops you're dealing with, because 2 cops dealt with me and my friend. It was my friend, my cousin, and me, and I. And we got pulled over, and he pulled us all out the car and was like, I'm going to search your vehicle, this and this and that. Didn't really explain why. But I think of the story now, and I'm like, oh my God, we were so stupid. Didn't come up with an idea of a plan as to what we were going to say. We kind of were just all freaked out. Shit, he pulled us over. Fuck, that's and this and that. So they damn near arrested my ass, put me in the back seat, and then we're like, look, we're going to search your car. But then, okay, search my car and everything, whatever. Done with, they let me go. They let us all go. And the reason, they didn't even give us a ticket. The only reason they said that they pulled us over was because we were suspicious, because there were some people that were like robbing cars or something like that. First off, you come to my car, do I look like I'm stealing cars?
Right.
First off, we don't look like anyone that you thought or was in the description, okay? Get out of here. So, like, didn't do anything, just on a power trip. But the first cop that pulled us over was a complete dick. The first one that initially pulled us over was such a dick.
And that's what's so scary. You don't know who you're going to be dealing with.
You don't know what type of day they've been dealing with or having or whatever. And then what type of mood they're in. It's just
like, I've been pulled over like a few times. I'm not going to lie, because I was like speeding. And one time I got pulled over for running a stop sign. And thank God, all of them were super, super cool. You know, like, look, I'm going to let you off with a warning. Don't do it again. This and that. And they were super cool. But immediately, as soon as like the lights go off, I'm like, oh my God, what kind of situation is this going to be? Oh my God, I'm scared. Oh my God. Right. And it's sad that's, you know, for doing something so minor.
You should know when you're pulled over, you're like, fuck, he pulled me over. I know what he pulled me over for.
Right.
But half the time, you don't even know what the fuck they pull you over for. I've been pulled over for a license, my license plate light being out, it wasn't out. You know, things like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, what? Or maybe you're too close riding me. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
That you couldn't see my light on my freaking license plate. Girl, I feel like they do that on purpose to like...
I mean, yeah, just to check up, see what's going on, be
some
sketchy
shit.
And shit. I mean, when I got into some trouble, We're not going to go into detail about that either. I thought I would, thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to really say. But it wasn't something horrible, but it was something. But long story short, I went to jail for a little bit of time. By a little bit of time, I only mean like a few hours. I wasn't like hardcore gangster or anything like that. I wasn't in for like a long time.
Everybody, whatever money you have, Dali, get Dali out right now.
I called. I was like, help me. And real quick, I just needed to get this off my chest. Okay, so when I got put into jail, I thought I was getting bailed out right away, and I guess I wasn't, and they wanted me to change into the jail uniform, and I was like, what? I can't, I'm getting bailed out, I'm not putting this on. And so I had to go in a private room with a lady cop and pull down my pants, bend over, and cough, and then change the girl. So I pulled down my pants. I had fucking started my period. And I was like, I'm so sorry.
That's what you get for stripping people down naked.
She was like, it's okay. I just need you to cough real quick, and then I can get you a pad. And I'm like, this is so embarrassing. And so...
Did they give you, like, the panties and stuff?
Girl, they gave me, like, a diaper. Big ass... diaper pad.
But were you able to wear your own panties, or you had to wear the other?
No, I had to wear granny panty panties that who knows who the fuck wore those. And then I had to wear... I'm, like, kind of grateful I wore the pad because... I did not want your cooch. My cooch was not touching those panties, thank God. And then I sat in the waiting room, and then they were going to transfer me to the other jail. And I'm like, why are y'all transferring me?
The actual prison, yeah.
Like the actual, like, jail.
Because
like,
you're probably in the conventional jail. Mm-hmm. And then they probably were like, okay, time to transfer you to the prison.
Yeah, and I was like, what? And they handcuffed me to another prisoner, and we had to walk handcuffed together.
Oh my God.
And then the prisoner that they decided to handcuff me attached to was a fucking crackhead. And on the bus, she's like leaning over, falling off, and I have to like pick her up with my handcuffs.
Oh my
because
God.
if I let her fall, then I fall. And I was like, bitch, get up. We are not doing this right now. I almost got in a fight on the bus. The bus driver stopped at the red light and looked back and was like, yelled something because I yelled at one of the guys. I told him to fuck off. And she was like, hey, something blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But you over there, you dude, fuck you.
While this crackhead's falling down, I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm not going to yell anymore. And then, okay, real quick, I just have to get all of it out of my chest because it's all coming back to me now. I was like in this open like space waiting to get called because I knew I had posted, like somebody bailed me out. I knew somebody bailed me out. So I'm waiting, and then I have to go to the bathroom to go change the big-ass pad out to another big-ass pad. And all the bathrooms are open. You get no privacy. So I was waiting till a time where I thought no one was in there. So when I go in, I sit down, and there's this girl sitting on the sink listening to, like, some music. I don't know how she got it, like the headset music thing. And she was singing Frank Ocean and singing,
oh my God,
a tornado flew around the room. Looking straight at me as I'm peeing, and I'm like trying to look away. And
you should have started singing with her.
She was like, when I'm thinking about you, ooh, no. And I'm like trying to look down and trying to change my pad out.
Oh my God. Awkward
anyway,
as fuck.
Yeah, so that's my experience.
Oh my God, that's funny.
But
did you know anyone that ever went to jail?
Yeah, my dad went to prison for a year.
Our friend Mike went.
Yeah, he was in for a few years.
Our friend, Let me not put him out on play.
For real.
My guy.
I was like, yeah.
My guy Mike.
Sorry.
We love you. You hear this? They don't know which one, but
my dad was in prison for a year, and we went to go visit him. And girl, they treat the visitors just like the prisoners.
I believe you.
Bend over, cough. Let me check your mouth. And I'm like, oh my God, I was like 16. I'm like, I have nothing. I promise. I'm a good person.
Girl, they don't take chances. That's what it is. Because people will sneak shit in like crazy.
People sneak shit in with like their babies. Mm-hmm. Like some fucked up shit.
Let's check the diaper.
I know. You gotta check everything. Freaking but crazy. I mean, like, after, like, the more I look into it, the more I'm like, this is like a system that you're bound to either go crazy or you're bound to get out and go commit another crime, because they don't really set you up for success. Even though they say you're only serving 2 years, 1 year.
And then once you get out, they don't think about the life that you have to create afterwards, especially if you have a felon on your name.
Exactly.
So
it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard to get a job. It's hard to get a place. It's hard to get anything. You can't even. You have like it's like you're X'd out of the community.
And there's no kind of like forgiveness program. Like, all right, at least be a felon for X amount of years, and then it can go away if you don't do any more crimes.
Yeah, and usually like you're able, after so many years, you're able to, I forgot what the word is, but you're able to get rid of your record. But you have to pay a shit ton of money, of course. Of course. You have to pay a shit ton of money, and who knows if it comes off ASAP or if it's really technically not going to be under your name anymore. Like, you know, there's a lot of things, but you can't travel. You can't do nothing. You can travel within the U.S., but you can't travel outside.
You can't vote. You're pretty much a slave. Like, you
have no rights.
You have no rights.
Pretty much.
No rights. And
they take that from you. And then it's kind of like, I was watching the Meek Mill documentary, and it was how he had to deal with probation for like 10 years in and out of freaking being, you know, violating probation. You know, the littlest things, he just kept going back. But, you know, he spent a little time locked up, and I remember that he was like, even though I'm not locked up and I'm not in prison, I'm still a prisoner because I am still under probation with them. And that's like, they have that hold on my life. Even though I'm not in prison, I'm still in prison in my own home because I have this probation over my head or whatever, you know?
Yeah. So then it's like, does prison really help us as a society? And I think to an extent it does. But are we really trying to help prisoners become better members of society once they've done their time? Like, you say, okay, you serve your time. This is the amount of time I think you should commit for the crime that you committed. But after that, you're still serving the time.
Well, I remember looking up the statistics about how, you know, usually they can offer you like schooling, vocational school. What else? I'm trying to remember exactly all the stuff that they said, but they offered these programs to them, you know, to try to better themselves while they're in there. And I found that 40% of private prisons, 40% of private prisons don't offer that at all. And that's crazy because you don't set these people up. You just lock them up because of whatever the crime they've committed. And if they want to even have a somewhat of a life or something underneath them, well, you can't. And we're just going to leave you out. You know, like, that's pretty much in a way how they came up with the Emancipation Proclamation to free slaves and came up with that loophole.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like...
Yeah, it's like what systemic racism does, in my opinion, play a very big part in the prison system.
Well, I know that beforehand we had talked about like the imprisonment rate, like how many, like, and I still have some more right here. 34% are black, 29% are whites, and 24% are Hispanics in prison. So, I mean,
it's crazy. And then when you really think, so why put all these people in prisons and not really try to do like a reform and try to help them to be better? And then you think about it, when you really look deep into it, these prisons are thriving because of these prisoners. And not even just prisons. Companies, different companies are thriving
because they invest in that shit.
Not even because they're using prisoners as free as labor. Right, so you're paying these prisoners like 80 cents an hour or some shit. And that's going toward them for barely anything. And a lot of corporations are using prison labor for their work because it's so cheap.
Yeah.
And I looked up a list of corporations, of a few corporations that use prison labor. And when I read off this list, it really makes me frustrated. Because, all right, so number one, McDonald's. McDonald's uses inmates to produce frozen foods. Number two, Wendy's. Wendy's has also been identified as relying on prison labor to reduce its cost of operations. Walmart. The company uses inmates for manufacturing purposes. Then you have Starbucks, Sprint, Verizon, Victoria's Secret, Fidelity Investments. I looked, there was like an airline one that I had saw that, Airlines and Avis.
The number two, excuse me.
JCPenney and Kmart.
You said the Fidelity Investments. That was one of the big corporations that owns private prisons too. But also the Vanguard Group and BlackRock. Mm-hmm. There are some of the number one people who are making trillions off of prisons.
Yeah. It says for Fidelity Investments, 401k or other investments are held by Fidelity. And in some cases, some of your money invested by Fidelity is used for prison labor or in other operations related to the prison industrial complex. The investment firm funds the American Legislative Exchange Council, which has created laws authorizing and increasing the use of inmates in manufacturing. So it's just a dirty, dirty game.
Yeah.
We are all playing a dirty, dirty game.
Girl, what surprised me though? Look, I looked up some more statistics. I missed Jackie's statistics today.
Jackie's statistics.
There are 1,833 state prisons. There's 110 federal prisons. There's 3,134 local jails. And there is 1,772 juvenile correctional facilities. That's insane. You damn near got the same amount of prisons as juvenile correctional facilities.
Why?
It's all
connected. I don't know. It hurts my heart, especially for the juvenile detention centers, because it's like these should be programs not telling them that they're criminals, but trying to make them better. Mm-hmm. You know, like trying to help them, putting money into social workers and stuff like that to help them or like the war on drugs. It should not be a war on drugs. Drugs should be like people addicted to drugs, in my opinion, should be looked at as a mental health issue. And we're not looking at it like that. We're looking at it as if you're on heroin, you're a criminal. If you're doing this, you're doing bad. Instead of, why is it that you turn to these drugs? Why is it that you turn to this stuff?
They don't care about that.
They don't care. And it's like, we don't care either to an extent because we've been told that that's just a crime and that's just how it is. You commit this crime and you have to do the time, pay the crime. Wait, what is it?
Do the time, pay for the crime.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, it sucks because we've been conditioned to think that, and I think that's why the prison system doesn't really get questioned too much, like maybe as they should, because they can get away with it. Because as soon as we say, well, they committed the crime, they know that's the crime.
Right.
It's like in one ear out the other for a lot of people. Like, well, they knew better, you know.
So now, they deserve to be where they're at.
Right.
For 20 years? Wait a minute.
Right.
Like, no, that's not right.
And then you have like the whole, I think something that really catches my attention with the prison system and really, really tugs at my heartstrings is like the solitary confinement situation. In solitary confinement, you're pretty much confined to a tiny ass space for like 22 hours out of the day.
To yourself.
Like nothing to do, nothing. And it's just fucking sad.
I feel like that is way too much time for you to be alone with your mind. Because your mind can not only play tricks on you, it'll tell you things that aren't true. You'll start believing certain things. You'll start telling yourself certain things like, I can't even imagine how much shit am I going to think about for 22 hours? I'm sleeping half that time.
And then the 2 hours that you have, you're like, that ain't shit. Yeah. And then I learned that the 2 hours that you have, that also include those 2 hours, you have to make time to bathe yourself.
Yeah.
So that's not even really, I mean, you have to get all your shit done in those 2 hours.
An hour, 10 minutes, man.
Right. Like, shit, I'm going to skip the bath today. Who's going to smell me? Me? I don't fucking care.
That's so true. Let's skip today.
But I was like reading more about solitary confinement, and it says that the United Nations, they consider confinement for more than 15 days to be torture. And when you hear stories about people in solitary confinement, they're in there for months, years at a time.
We were talking about how some people put themselves in there on purpose,
right? To be
save
safe.
themselves. Yeah, because they're afraid of, or they're targeted, or whatever the case is. They just don't want to be around the people. So
yeah, and it's fucking sad. And then it said that the United Nations have banned solitary confinement for more than 15 days. So it's like apparently it's banned.
Yeah.
And I want to know, I wonder, I should have looked it up if that's the case, if people really follow that. Because we're definitely not following that in America. But whatever. And then I looked up some of the psychological effects that solitary confinement can have on a person. And how fucked up. And there's people, side note, there's people that haven't even gotten to their court date yet. They didn't want to take a plea deal, so they're in prison until they can get to their court date. And while waiting for their court date to prove that they're innocent, they're put in solitary confinement and getting fucked up in the head. And some of the psychological effects that can happen to a person are like panic attacks, depression, paranoia, and some suffer hallucinations. If you're put in there for a long period of time.
I'm talking to all my friends. All you guys are in there with me.
All my imaginary friends. Jackie, pass
recording.
Coffee.
We'd be fake recording.
All you hear is, and welcome back to another episode of Are We Adulting Yet podcast.
You know how people in the movies and stuff, they hear each other through the vents?
I know. Everyone, shut up.
That's so sad, though.
Oh, God. And then I found out that the longest serving isolated prisoner in the U.S., his name was Albert Woodfox, and his ass served 43 years in isolated solitary confinement.
That's freaking insane.
43 years, which is just fucking crazy. That's a long time.
It's way too long.
I haven't even lived that long. And I feel like I'm
already tired.
I know. What? That's
Get me out of
crazy.
here. What were you doing to stay in there? That's what I want to know. But just to be in there for that long is ridiculous.
That's just is that the way? Is that the way to go? Really?
Oh my God.
I don't know. I mean, we're not allowed to hit our kids. I'm sorry. We're not allowed to hit our kids because it's considered abuse. But we're allowed to put adults into solitary confinement.
So you can go crazy.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. It's just fucking crazy. And and it's one of those things that it's touchy because, of course, I agree with it to an extent. I feel like people need to be punished for certain things that they do. So
if you're super violent and super uncooperative, and you're a danger to yourself and other people, then yeah, maybe a couple days. But fucking
43 years?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Crazy. And I just talking about that, we wanted to touch up on a different subject. And it's just about the people who work there and how much they have to deal with and the pay that they're getting. Because, we had talked about Dali trying to be a CO, and then she realized what it was about and what it entailed and the job entailed, and it was like, what the fuck? This is too much. And I think, what did you say the pay was per year?
I think it was ranging from 30 to 33,000 a year.
No.
And it's a lot. And you gave me a whole list of duties I would be responsible for.
But we were talking about how cops get paid more than that. And cops are out here, they're, let me put this in quotation, protecting the city. To serve whatever, and protect. Right, to serve and protect, be out there. But you're sticking these people in the prisons with these criminals, with these people, with all these people who might have done some crazy crimes, killing people and things like that. And you're just stuck in this place with them. And
even if they didn't do crazy crimes, they're fucking pissed.
Right.
They're mad at the world.
So and then you're like, so you're supposed to just tell me what to do? Oh, okay. Right. Mm-hmm. So of course they're going to
And they're saying, you just need to be 18 years old. The requirements for working in these prisons, the requirements for me, you need to be 18, you need to have a high school diploma or a GED, and you need to have no felonies. Mm-mm. That's what? Those are the very bare minimum of requirements.
But I think the thing that gets people is the benefits.
The benefits.
Even though you're not paid too much, you have benefits. And everybody wants benefits,
And the retirement plan was great. Everything was, the benefits were great.
But then
bitch, they better be. What
then
the
I think about her with the baton. Get down!
I said down.
The benefits are great.
I know.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
So,
No, I mean,
and I think about the people who are higher up too. Like, I'm sure they only have limited decisions as to what they're making happen and stuff too, because these big corporations are in control of everything, for sure. So,
and it's just like it's a system that it needs work, and I feel like for how big the system is, there's room to try to make it work.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't think about. I mean, these people committing these crimes, quote unquote, and all we're doing is fucking them up even more, emotionally, psychologically, financially.
In any way, right?
And it's just like,
and they're like, go out and live in the world and live in peace and don't do any more
don't
crimes.
come back. We don't want to see you back here anymore. Like,
but I mean, realistically, when you see someone, okay, so let's say someone is selling weed or doing something like that, and they get in trouble for it. Okay, now they're out, and now they have a felony under their name, and they're considered a felon to the world, so they can't get a job, and they can't do this, and they can't do that, and they're shot down this time, they're shot down that time from this job, and if they can't get a job, it's a minimum wage job, so you're not making shit. So, like, why wouldn't he or she go back to doing the same thing they were doing beforehand that was getting them tons of money and risking that so that they can live?
right.
You know what I'm saying? And then, like, how do you not expect, like, it's just, I feel like it's a big ass setup. You know, just like they set you up for failure. That's what it is. A big ass setup for failure.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to be able to do anything. And for school, if you want to sign up for school and you're a felon, you ain't getting no help, boo boo. You paying all of that out of pocket. So it's kind of like you really are going to have to, like, go crazy and invest tons of money and time into you trying to do something to be able to become something of yourself. If you are a felon. And kudos to them, to the people who have been able to do that. Because people have done that. But it's hard.
But it's like, why would you want to try to do good when you're already looked at as bad for the rest of your life? What would inspire you to want to be better? Really? I mean, it would be very, very hard for a lot of people to be like, well, I'm gonna be better. And of course, that's the mentality that a lot of people probably have coming out of the prison system. And then the reality really hits them. And they're like, no matter what I do, I'm not going to be looked at as better.
Right. They're going to look up my name and be like, oh,
he's a felon. She's a felon.
And that gives people who are felons just a big ass Red Bull, a big
gives you wings.
Gives you a big ass
red flag.
Not even the red flag, but you're like a target at that point.
Yeah.
You know, like, don't even fucking have them. Don't even look their way, because at that point they're gonna be like, "Hey, oh, you got a felon?" Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
we're locking you up.
It's really sad and like, it's just so funny to me. The irony of everything is like, all these big corporations, Walmart, Sprint, Verizon, all the big corporations that I named that benefit off of prison labor are the first people that are like, well, we don't want no felons to work for us.
Right.
So you get out and you're working for them in the prison system, and then you get out and you apply to Walmart and they're not going to hire your ass. And it's just, the irony of it is just fucking ridiculous.
Well, we'll let you work for us for 80 cents an hour, but
right, but you're a felon, so not for that $9 an hour.
In the real world, you're not getting a job with us, like,
right. And it's just like,
thanks.
The fucking irony, dude, like, and that's a lot.
I feel like it's a big circle, not a big circle of life, because that's not how life is supposed to be, but it's just kind of like, I think of like the recycling symbol.
Reduce, reuse.
Right. I feel like they reduce us, they reuse us, do all types of shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, I feel like it's just a systematic way that they've done things, and it's just to play in their favor. And that's the way they've had it, and that's the way it's been done for so long. And not enough people, it's such a habit, and it's just not even behind closed doors, but a lot of people don't look into this stuff. They don't care about this stuff enough, you know? Like we were saying earlier, if people are in prison, we assume that they're in prison for a good reason. It doesn't matter if they're right or wrong. we just assume the people in jail, they're supposed to be there, you know? But
Right.
we have to look at the bigger picture. There are the facts. There are some people in there that don't belong in there. There are
Right.
some people in there who have those fucking crazy ass sentences. So, like, what can we do?
I don't know, dude. Like, I feel like I want to say the first step, of course, no matter what, is always educate yourself. Always
Be informed on
be
what's
informed.
going on.
Right. And then I think and to spread the information, you know, and I think it starts with you, and then of course it goes to our kids, it goes to our family, it goes to our friends, and it's like
And
bringing the awareness of the situation.
if you're spreading the right information, or if you're telling your kids the right information, it's going to be spread in the right way.
Especially the kids, dude. Like, teach the kids about this, because they can easily be caught up in a situation that they didn't even mean to be caught up in. Or they don't know they don't really truly know the consequences of their actions.
Right.
You know, and I don't know, it's disappointing, and it's disheartening seeing kids go to juvenile, and then from juvenile detention
And
centers
a lot of the
to
kids
prison.
who are in juvie, like, they just go through messed up lives, and they have, like, a hard childhood. And,
Dude, there's another show I watch on Netflix about the girls in juvenile detention.
dude, and they had one at Lake County, and where we used to live, where there was a juvie center there, and I remember they had a show on MTV, and they did a showing on.
There was a girl, maybe that was the one, because there was a girl from East Chicago, girl. She had 219 tatted on her hand.
God.
And I was watching it, and I was like, 219? Oh, hell no.
Too close to home.
Yeah, she had like a
No.
big 219 tattoo right there, but
Girl, it's just, and the fact that they have damn near just as many juvenile centers as prisons is kind of that's an issue.
But you know, then you watch, like, I was watching these shows, and some of the girls, if they got out, the parents, they didn't have a family to go home to.
Right.
The parents were getting locked up, or they don't want them back, or
There's
and then
so many scenarios and situations that can.
yeah, and then it results them to going into the street, or they have to stay. I saw a situation where the parents were locked up, so she didn't have there was no one to have custody of her, so she was forced to stay in there.
Oh my god.
So, and when she turned 18, she was forced to go into the prison system.
Wait, what? Oh my god.
Or some shit like that. I don't know. Maybe when she turned 18, she was released. I don't know really. But she was, until then, while she was a
That's so
minor,
ridiculous.
she was forced
But
to stay in there.
either way it goes, like, if she wouldn't have been put back in the prison system, she would have been put in a foster home.
Yeah.
And hopping around to house or whatever the case is. It's just, that breaks my heart.
It just
either way it
sucks.
goes. Maybe if we did a better job as a community and as a government to make people aware of things and
I think too, like, it's very, like, to me, it's like taking a very, very big risk, but working hard with hiring felons.
Mm-hmm. Or at least having jobs.
Or, like
there
making them available.
And I know there are some people out there who are very, like, adamant about helping felons get jobs and things like that, and hiring them or whatever, because they need that. And some people know they need that opportunity, you know? But, man, like, it's just sad the way that they have things set up for everybody.
Yeah, man.
So,
just stay safe, y'all. Like, don't go to prison.
don't go to prison.
I don't know.
Don't become part of the systematic oppression.
Yeah.
Don't.
And if you have, like, hit us up. Like, maybe we should have an episode with somebody that has been through that and, like, had to go through that, because I mean, I did my little 14 hours of time and
Felt some way, yeah.
I felt some way after that. I was like, I'm never going back.
So imagine years.
But even then, I mean, and it wasn't like a big crime. I mean, I'm not a felon or anything like that, but even then, when I apply to jobs and stuff like that, I cringe a little bit, because I'm like, they're gonna know, and like, or anything. I'm scared of people knowing about something that happened years ago.
Right.
And, like, I can only imagine, like.
And that's the thing. You can have something that happened to you years ago and it still follow you, because that's what the fuck it's on your record, and that's going to follow you, bitch.
Right. And that just all of a sudden defines who you are as a person.
Right.
Even if that's not even you anymore.
It's just ridiculous. We need more chances. We need a better system. They need to come up with new ways to do things because the way they're doing it right now has not been working.
But the thing is, we need somebody that cares about it because, like we said, it's easy to just say that's a criminal. They did the crime. They knew what the crime was, and they decided to commit it, and then that's that.
And the U.S. has over 2 million people in prison.
Way too many fucking people. It's fucking crazy.
We're number one in the world, so that goes to show you something. If it isn't just about money, I don't know. It's just a big clusterfuck. It's a big mess.
Yeah.
And we just know that it needs to be taken care of differently. Things need to be approached differently. New rules need to be set. The things that are happening right now aren't right, but people come up with excuses as to why they are right. Come up with reasons as to why it's right.
Right. So, like, we need somebody that's, like, willing to be like, this is wrong. I want to fight for this.
Well, and like I was telling Dali earlier, like, a lot of people have this thing where they're like, how is it that people in prison get free meals and these kids in school don't get free meals? Okay, first off, aren't we all human? One. And two, if your kids are not getting free lunch, which is crazy to me that that's still even a thing, that the kids don't get free lunch.
I can't believe that kids have to pay for lunch. That's fucking crazy.
Maybe that there's something you need to do about school funding or talk to somebody about that. Because it's not...
Well, it was like we were saying, it's more the government because school funding, they're defunding the schools.
Mm-hmm.
They're
so what's going on? At the end of the day, the government's fucking all up.
It doesn't even make any fucking sense. You want to make a big hype about wanting to defund the police, but you're so quick to defund the schools that you're putting these, like, kids into debt because they can't pay for their food.
And not even just that, you're putting our future through hell. Like, right now, this is going to be future us. These are the people that are going to be leading us. These are the people that are going to be future doctors, future lawyers, future whatever, activists crazy. Or whatever. And the fact that we are not taking care of them the way that we should be, it kind of scares me to think of how the future will be. Like,
there's kids that they won't give them their diploma, their high school diploma, until they pay their debt for their school lunches.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking crazy.
I know for my school it was you couldn't graduate if you didn't pay your book fees.
That was me.
And I'm like, damn.
They let me walk. And then when I went to the back, I was like ready to grab my diploma. I'm like, yes, I did it. And they only handed me a empty little like fold out thing. And they were like, you need to go to the office about your diploma. And I'm like, what the fuck? On my graduation day. So then when I went afterward, I went to the office and they were like, you have books that you owe for the library and we can't give you your diploma until you pay off these books.
Of course.
And I'm like, what the fuck?
Right.
So of course my ass paid for it like a pendeja. I should have been like, keep the diploma. No, right. Imagine. I would have been like, shit, I don't have a diploma.
I did walk, but I didn't get my diploma. Crazy.
Oh my God. But it's sad. It is sad in that sense. And it stems not from the school systems. It stems even deeper than that.
Right. But it all links up to the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It all links up to the people making all the decisions.
Right.
For lovely America. Be woke, y'all.
Right. Are we woke yet? That's the one today. Are we woke yet? Probably not. I feel like I'm only 20. I'm only 28. There's still so much more I'm going to like become woke to.
Yeah, so much more.
And I don't know if I'm ready.
It's a lot. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to understand. You have to have an open mind for sure. But there's just so much.
Yeah,
so much. And it's hard, like, for a lot of people, they're like, I don't get so much into it. And neither, like, do I. But it's good to dibble and dabble to see what the fuck's going on. You should know what is going on.
It is good to have conversations. I feel like if people can sit down and have conversations about the Kardashians, and if they can have conversations about the most, like, unimportant things, then we can every now and then have important conversations about
shit
stuff
that affects our lives.
Yeah, that impacts the people around us very significantly. And I don't know. I think that's a part of growing up. I feel like we need to as a whole grow up and be comfortable with having conversations like this because they're needed. And the more that we just try to avoid it, the more we become oblivious,
what's going on, and then letting it pass by and doing nothing.
Yeah, and then we find ourselves, I don't know. I don't want to be one of those people that are like 70 years old and just realizing things, like, and being like, didn't I try to understand that before when I was younger? You know, this is my time. I'm trying to understand now. I want to get a bigger picture of everything now so I can be 70 years old and be that crazy old woman and be like, you know, passing down that wisdom to my grandkids and shit like that and to everyone around me.
Mm-hmm.
And not just saying, well, that's just the way it is.
Hopefully more people can do that. Get your facts straight and spread the word.
Yeah. Well, with that being said,
we hope you liked today's episode.
And we hope that all of you guys grow old to be the crazy old people that spread the wisdom around to the community.
And not in prison.
Yeah, and hopefully not in prison. But if you do end up going to prison, write us. Maybe we can, like...
If you get a phone, add us, subscribe, comment.
Tell a friend to tell a friend in the cells. And that's about it.
We will see you guys later. Thanks for joining in. This was a fun episode to record.
This was
interesting. Mm-hmm. If you want to let us know more on what we can learn or any facts that you feel like we didn't put in there, let us know. Like, we like to learn new things. We always say that.
Always.
So we shall see you guys later. Thanks for coming and listening. Well, thanks for coming.
Thanks for joining us. All right, but for real, bye.
See you guys later.